The 1985 South Africa 1 cent coin may look like one of the most ordinary objects ever created, but its journey through time tells a story far bigger than its size or face value. When this coin was released, South Africa was living through one of the most intense and complex periods in its history. The country was under apartheid, the economy was unstable, and daily life for millions of people was shaped by political tension and uncertainty. This small copper coin quietly moved from hand to hand during that era, used to buy basic goods, given as change at local shops, and often ignored or forgotten in pockets, drawers, and jars. The time, no one stopped to admire the 1 cent coin. It was considered almost worthless, often tossed aside because it could hardly buy anything on its own. Children might collect them for fun, shopkeepers stacked them in cash drawers, and many people didn't even bother picking them up if they fell on the ground. Yet every coin minted in 1985 carried the weight of a nation's story. The design, the metal, and even the year stamped onto it captured a snapshot of South Africa during a turning point that would later define its future. As years passed, the 1 cent coin slowly faded from everyday use. Inflation reduced its purchasing power even further, and eventually, it became impractical for circulation. Many of these coins were removed from use, melted down for their metal, or simply lost over time. What once existed in massive quantities began to quietly disappear. This is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Scarcity has a strange way of transforming ordinary objects into extraordinary ones. Collectors began to notice subtle differences in certain 1985 1 cent coins. Some had unique minting errors, unusual finishes, or rare variations that were never meant to exist. A slight misalignment, an unexpected mark, or a difference in metal composition could turn a common coin into something incredibly rare. These tiny imperfections, invisible to the untrained eye, became the very reason collectors started searching through old collections, storage boxes, and forgotten containers. The fascination grew stronger as stories spread about rare coins being sold for astonishing prices. What was once laughed at for being nearly useless suddenly became the focus of serious attention. Coin collectors, historians, and investors began looking at the 1985 South Africa 1 cent coin not just as currency, but as a historical artifact. Each coin told a silent story of where it had been and who might have used it decades earlier. The condition of the coin became everything. Coins that survived without heavy scratches, corrosion, or wear were especially valuable. A 1 cent coin that had never been used, preserved in near-perfect condition, could be worth far more than anyone ever imagined. This sparked a wave of interest among people who had never considered themselves collectors before. Ordinary individuals started checking old drawers, inherited boxes, and family keepsakes, hoping they might unknowingly own a rare piece of history. What makes the 1985 1 cent coin particularly fascinating is the emotional connection it creates. For many South Africans, it represents childhood memories, local shops, school days, and simpler times. For collectors outside the country, it represents a tangible link to a major historical era. That emotional value adds another layer to its appeal, making it more than just metal stamped with numbers and symbols. As demand increased, stories became more dramatic. Auctions featured rare South African coins, and prices climbed higher and higher. Social media and online forums played a huge role in spreading awareness. Suddenly, videos and posts about rare coins were gaining millions of views. People were drawn to the idea that something so small and overlooked could be worth an unbelievable amount of money. The 1985 1 cent coin became a symbol of hidden treasure, proving that value isn't always obvious at first glance. Experts began carefully analyzing specific versions of the coin. Certain minting errors were confirmed to be extremely rare, possibly existing in only 1 or 2 known examples. These coins were no longer just collectibles, they became legendary. Museums expressed interest, private collectors competed fiercely, and investors saw them as long-term assets. The idea that a 1 cent coin could rival priceless works of art or historical relics seemed unreal, yet the market continued to prove otherwise. What truly captures attention is how accidental this transformation was. The coin was never designed to be special. It was created for everyday use, meant to circulate freely and eventually wear out. Its rise in value happened because of time, rarity, human curiosity, and the stories people attached to it. This unpredictability is what makes coin collecting so exciting. It reminds people that history is often hiding in plain sight. Today, the 1985 South Africa 1 cent coin stands as a reminder that even the smallest things can carry enormous significance. It encourages people to look twice at what they already own and to appreciate the hidden stories behind everyday objects. Whether sitting in a collection, displayed in a case, or talked about in hushed tones among collectors, this coin has achieved a status no one could have predicted. From being dismissed as spare change to becoming one of the most talked about coins in the collecting world, its journey is nothing short of extraordinary. It represents patience, history, and the idea that value can grow silently over time. What was once barely noticed has now captured global attention, transforming from a forgotten coin into a symbol of rarity and wealth, with its story ultimately reaching a staggering valuation of $180 million.